The Menendez Brothers case is one of the most controversial and intriguing in American criminal history. On August 20, 1989, Lyle and Erik Menendez, then 21 and 18 years old respectively, brutally murdered their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, in the family mansion in Beverly Hills. The crime shocked the nation and triggered a judicial saga that would extend 4 years, capturing public attention and raising complex questions about child abuse, dysfunctional family dynamics, and the limits of justice. More than 3 decades later, the case continues to provoke intense debates, especially with the release of new documentary series and the emergence of additional evidence that sheds new light on the events leading up to that fateful night. Jose and Erik Menendez was born in Cuba to a wealthy family. His father was a soccer star and his mother a former swimming champion. Fidel Castro's rise to power in Cuba led Jose's parents to send him, at 15, to live in the United States with a cousin, fearing political repercussions that could affect their family. In the USA, Jose obtained a swimming scholarship to university, where he met Mary Kitty Anderson. Kitty was slightly older than Jose, very beautiful, and had already participated in beauty pageants. The two fell in love and, shortly after graduation, eloped to New York, beginning a married life that would be marked by ups and downs. Initially, the couple faced significant financial difficulties. Kitty worked as a waitress and Jose as a dishwasher, while trying to enter university to study accounting. However, Kitty's unexpected pregnancy with their first child, José, drastically altered their plans. Jose, demonstrating from early on a controlling personality, gave Kitty an ultimatum. Either she stayed at home, taking care of the child, or she left him. Kitty chose to stay, abandoning her dreams of being an actress or TV presenter. The couple moved to New Jersey, seeking a more stable environment to raise the family, and it was there that Erik, the second son, was born. Jose's career took an upward turn when he entered the music industry, becoming an executive at RCA Records. His business talent soon stood out, and he signed contracts with major groups like Duran Duran and Menudo. Professional success allowed the family to move to $1 million property, but it also began to reveal the harder side of Jose's personality. He was known to be a ruthless executive, often humiliating subordinates and generating an environment of fear among employees. This authoritarian and controlling attitude that Jose demonstrated at work was also reflected in his family life. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Lyle and Erik Menendez grew up in an environment of apparent privilege, but subsequent accounts suggest a much darker reality behind the closed doors of the family mansion. Jose was extremely rigorous and competitive, imposing extraordinarily high expectations on his children, especially regarding sports and academic performance. From an early age, the boys were enrolled in various sports. Jose demanded that they be not just good, but the best in everything they did. This constant pressure for excellence significantly shaped the brothers' childhood and adolescence. Fortunately, both Lyle and Erik excelled in tennis, a sport that became central to their lives. Kitty attended the boys' games and training sessions, offering more visible support, while Jose supervised from afar, never seeming satisfied with his son's achievements, no matter how impressive they were. The pressure was particularly intense on Lyle, the firstborn. Jose placed all the expectations of his own life on him, demanding that his son achieve the dreams he could not. This created a complex dynamic between father and son, marked by a mixture of admiration, fear, and resentment. Erik, on the other hand, suffered less direct pressure, but witnessed the treatment given to his brother, which certainly affected his own perception of the family dynamic. Kitty, in turn, was described as emotionally distant and sometimes verbally abusive. She often told Lyle that he had ruined her life, preventing her from pursuing her acting career. These cruel comments combined with constant complaints about the expenses of the children's tennis lessons and José's lack of attention, created a toxic and emotionally unstable family environment. The brothers were close, united by the shared experience of growing up in a dysfunctional home, but kept secrets from each other about the alleged abuses they suffered individually. A particularly striking incident occurred when Lyle began to go bald at 14. The parents, concerned about their son's appearance and how it might reflect on the family's image, forced him to wear a wig, a situation that Lyle considered deeply humiliating, especially because he had to hide it even from his brother. José rigidly controlled various aspects of his children's lives, including their diet. There are reports that he even physically assaulted Lyle for eating cookies in secret, demonstrating the level of control and violence present in the home. Additionally, the brothers later alleged that they were forced to watch violent pornographic films with their father, a shocking accusation that, if true, indicates a deep level of psychological and potentially sexual abuse. Another disturbing aspect of the Menendez brothers' childhood was the allegation that José took inappropriate photos of them, often when they were changing or in the shower. These photos, according to the brothers, were openly displayed in the house, a practice they considered deeply disturbing and invasive. These accounts, though shocking, were crucial to the brothers' defense during the trial. They painted a picture of a childhood marked by physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, creating a context that their lawyers argued was essential to understanding the brothers' actions on that fateful night in August 1989. On the night of August 20th, 1989, a seemingly ordinary Sunday turned into a scene of unimaginable horror at the Menendez mansion in Beverly Hills. Lyle and Erik Menendez, armed with shotguns they had bought days before, entered the TV room where their parents, Jose and Kitty, were sitting on the couch, carelessly eating ice cream and watching a movie. The attack was quick and brutal. Jose was hit first, receiving a fatal shot to the back of the head, which killed him almost instantly. Kitty, panicking at seeing her husband murdered, tried to flee. She was shot in the legs, falling to the floor. At this point, the brothers briefly left the room to reload their weapons. Upon returning, they found Kitty still alive, trying to crawl away. Without hesitation, they completed the act, shooting her repeatedly. Kitty received a total of 10 shots, including several to the face, leaving her unrecognizable. Jose, in turn, was hit 6 times in total. The violence of the attack was evident at the crime scene. The room was later described by investigators as a horror show, with blood and human remains scattered everywhere. The brothers also shot their parents in the knees, a tactic they later claimed to have used to simulate a mafia attack. After the crime, Lyle and Erik executed what appeared to be a pre-established plan to create an alibi. They left the house and went to the local cinema to watch Batman, keeping the tickets as proof of their location at the time of the murders. They returned later, around 11:47 p.m., at which time Lyle made an emotional call to the 911 emergency service, claiming to have found their parents' bodies. The brothers' performance after discovering the bodies was convincing. Neighbors reported seeing them running out of the house, screaming hysterically. Erik, in particular, demonstrated an extreme reaction, even throwing himself on the grass and rolling, while Lyle tried to comfort him. This display of intense emotion initially convinced many of their innocence. The brutality of the crime warped the normally quiet and safe Beverly Hills community. The idea that a couple could be murdered so violently in their own home, in such an affluent neighborhood, shook the sense of security of local residents and captured national media attention. Initially, the police did not suspect the brothers. The crime scene suggested a possible mafia settling of scores, given José's reputation in the business world. The brothers seemed genuinely shaken and cooperative during initial interrogations. The police didn't even test the brothers' hands for gunpowder residue, so convincing was their apparent innocence. Lyle and Erik initially stayed in a hotel, claiming to fear for their lives. They hired security guards and even wore bulletproof helmets. However, in the months that followed, the young men's extravagant behavior began to raise suspicions. The brothers spent millions from their inheritance on luxury cars, jewelry, trips, and parties. Lyle bought 3 Rolexes and a restaurant, in addition to the Porsche he had always wanted. Erik hired a private tennis coach for $50,000 a year and bought a Jeep Wrangler. In just 6 months, they had spent about $700,000. The brothers' behavior at their parents' funeral also drew attention. They wore new and expensive shoes, and some people reported seeing them making jokes and planning trips with friends. This conduct contrasted sharply with the image of grieving sons they had initially presented. The turning point in the case came when Erik, tormented by guilt, confessed the crime to his psychologist, Dr. Jerome Aziel. The therapist discussed the matter with his lover, who ended up informing the authorities. The police discovered that the brothers had bought the murder weapons 2 days before the killings, using fake IDs. Additionally, the brothers had hired someone to erase their father's computer hard drive, where an updated will was possibly stored. The police also remembered a script that Erik had written with a friend, describing millionaire children who rebelled and killed their parents. In an attempt to gather more evidence, the police asked a friend of Erik's to invite him to lunch and record the conversation. During this lunch, Erik confessed to the crime in detail, but when invited to a second recorded lunch, he denied everything, claiming to have made up the story. In March 1990, Lyle was arrested. Erik, who was in Israel participating in a tennis tournament, voluntarily returned to the USA and was also detained. News of the brothers' arrest shocked friends and family, who initially didn't believe in their involvement in the crime. The first trial, in 1993, was an unprecedented media spectacle. Broadcast on television, the case captured national attention, turning into a kind of judicial reality show. The public became fascinated with the sordid details that emerged about the Menendez family's life. The defense, led by attorney Leslie Abramson, presented a shocking narrative. The brothers had been victims of years of sexual and emotional abuse by their father, with their mother's connivance. Lyle and Erik gave emotional testimonies, detailing alleged horrible abuses. Lyle described how his father forced him to participate in extreme swimming sessions, holding his head underwater until he almost drowned. Erik reported years of sexual abuse, starting when he was just 6 years old. The brothers claimed they killed their parents out of fear, believing they would be killed if they didn't act first. The prosecution, on the other hand, painted the brothers as cold and greedy murderers, motivated only by the desire to inherit the family fortune. They highlighted the brothers' extravagant behavior after the murders and argued that the abuse allegations were fabricated. The jury was divided after the first trial, resulting in its annulment. A second trial took place in 1995, this time without television coverage. The defense strategy was less effective on this occasion, with less emphasis on the abuse allegations. Both brothers were found guilty of first-degree murder. Lyle and Erik were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For over 2 decades, they were in separate prisons, maintaining contact only through letters. Both married while in prison, adapting to life behind bars. In 2018, after years of petitions, the brothers were finally transferred to the same prison institution. The reunion was described as extremely emotional, with the brothers hugging and crying for several minutes. The case continues to generate debate and controversy. Many believe that the brothers were victims of a judicial system that did not fully understand the dynamics of child abuse and its long-term effects. Others see them as cold and calculating murderers who killed for financial gain. Recently, new evidence has emerged, reviving interest in the case. A letter written by Erik to a cousin, 8 months before the murders, was discovered. In it, Erik details the alleged abuses, writing, "It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. I never know when it's going to happen, and it's driving me crazy." Additionally, a former member of the boy band Menudo alleged that he was abused by Jose Menendez during his time at José Records, potentially corroborating the pattern of abusive behavior described by the brothers. With the release of a new Netflix series about the case, there is renewed public interest and speculation about possible future legal developments. Many advocates for the brothers argue that they should be released or, at the very least, have their sentences reduced. If you enjoyed this video about the Menendez case, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content on famous criminal cases. Leave your comment below sharing what you thought of this story. If there's any other case you'd like to see covered in an upcoming video, your opinion is very important to us. Turn on the bell to receive notifications about new videos. Thanks for watching and see you next time.